Let's roll. It's level 3. Let's do this thing. The Monday Night Meltdown as we kick it live from the Bellworks Studios in New Jersey. I brought it up earlier about the Big Bang theory, and I was looking it up. And it's just, I can't even say some of these words. What's like DACO, what is this? DACO Mono U.S. Modernism in America Award. Like, I mean, it's got like architectural awards, Big Bang theory, microwave radiation. So in other words, like, you know, there's a lot of radiation around us probably. maybe that's just me. And yeah, the TV show, here it is, the TV show Severance filmed here. I got to tell you, like when you pull into the complex too, and I haven't seen a TV show Severance. I know of it. I haven't seen it, but it's one of those dystopian type of creepy type shows, and it's filmed here. And when you pull in, man, it's the same. Like it threw me off. Yeah, I've been in a lot of TV studios, right, over the years, and most of them are the same. You know, you hear TV studio in New Jersey, like I said, all you know what I mean, NBA, NHL, whatever, they're all in Secaucus, and you know what I mean? So, you know, they look like, you know, sort of you're going to a warehouse and, you know, whatever on the side of the highway. You know, TV studios aren't what, like, people think they are normally. This, though, you pull up. I'm like, I pulled up, and I sort of looked back. I'm like, did doors just close behind me? You know what I mean? I sort of look back, like, is there, like, I get the feeling like there's, like, gates that close. And I'm pulling up. I'm like, I told, when we rolled in here, I was with Joe Ranieri, actually, and our boy Vinny, and I said to him, are you taking me to a TV studio, or am I getting interrogated like in a CIA building? He goes, yeah, this building is a trip. He goes, they filmed that show, Severance, here. I'm like, yeah, I can see why. And, man, they got lakes and stuff, and, you know, I don't know, man. I'm a city dude. I can handle, like, you know, I can handle South Central better than I can handle a lake in Jersey, I think. I'm like, man, I don't know, it's kind of creepy out here. Shout out to everyone joining us right now on Sirius XM, Channel 159. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. We're back from Vegas, but we're going back to the West Coast, actually. We came back for our Super Bowl special. So we're going back to the West Coast. Program alert, actually. There's going to be no show tomorrow night, because we're traveling. And, you know, you guys know me. I'm hardcore. And in fact, unnamed people would have preferred. They would have been like, oh, well, let's hope Morency's not really hardcore, does a show on Monday. I got to be honest. People, like, really worked hard in Vegas all week. But it's the day after the Super Bowl, right? And I knew that we were going to miss Tuesday's show because we were traveling. There was nothing we could do as far as flights are concerned. We don't control schedules. So we're at no show tomorrow night. I was like, nah, we got to step up after the Super Bowl here. You know, I'm not a San Francisco fan, obviously. I'm a Buffalo Bill fan. But even though you get caught up in these Super Bowls, especially if you're tired of seeing one team win all the time, and I've got no personal beef with the Chiefs or anything. Like, you know, Kelsey's a cool dude. Mahomes a cool dude. Reed's a cool dude. Like, whatever. Like, it's nothing personal. But you get caught up in it. Plus, I did have San Francisco. My life I'd be richer. Like, I made money on the game, but I would have made more money on the game if San Francisco would have won the game outright. But it was sort of like, wow, like disappointing somehow, right? And they lost to them a couple of years ago, but this time it just seemed more devastating. You know, they had them. Like, I get it last time. This time was just different, and it's built up. It happened again. And I know as a Buffalo Bill fan, it gets tougher every time you lose. It builds. You know, it's hard to overcome and get back, right? Like the Buffalo Bills get criticized for losing 4 in a row. You know how hard it is to do it, to win a conference, to get back there all the time, right? And especially, it's almost harder, like people talk about, it's almost harder when you lose. At some point, your will gets broken. Look at the Super Bowl loser hangover, and it's real every year. So you have to take it into consideration. And people always think, oh, no, okay, I'll tell you what. Last year at this time, people were almost talking coming into the year this year like Philadelphia won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts gets the money. Jalen Hurts on the cover of magazines. Kelsey this, Eagles that. They're amazing. They're 10-1. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Jalen Hurts is the MVP. And whatever, man, the wheels completely fell off for them, right? Are San Francisco going to be back in the Super Bowl next year? No, they're not. And I'd like to say that Kansas City won't, but we brought this up earlier this year. Excuse me, let me lower this mic here. We brought this up earlier this year about Kansas City, and I think I got into it with Rick Saratella. And it was in the middle of the season, and they weren't playing well. And he basically said, oh, they're terrible, and they suck, and whatever, and all this. And I hated to defend them because I don't even, you know what I mean? I'm tired of them as a Bills fan. And I said, dude, you put them in a one-game situation, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs, all right? They're still Mahomes. They're still going to be hard to deal with. And it's one of those deals where the Chiefs aren't perfect, but who else is good enough to do something about it? It's almost like the UFC, and like in sports, you get these teams that win. It's like, yeah, that champion's not this, he's not that. It's like, okay, well, go do something about it. Take it from them then if they're not that great, right? And you see this, and other teams fall apart, right? Buffalo fell apart. Baltimore fell apart. San Francisco, not so much. Mo Khan will join us on the other side. There's a lot of stuff to break down. This is Sports Rage. Shout out to all of our AM radio affiliates stepping up and in right now. Shout out to the 50,000-watt juggernaut, the mightier 1090, ESPN radio in the house. Let's do this thing. It's good to be back. Although it's almost a little bit of a tease right now, as we're back for a night. Last week we weren't on in our regular slot. We're back for a night tonight. We're not going to be back on tomorrow, but then Wednesday, everything will be back to normal moving forward. So we're picking up the pieces after an epic week in Vegas. Shout out to everybody that we met there. Shout out to all of our guests. And speaking of ESPN Radio, it was an amazing appearance on a Pat McAfee show on Friday. It's always cool going on a McAfee show at the Super Bowl. And we've done it 3 years in a row now as the last guest of the week, and we give our best bets, and they're always just beaten down. This week, they were really beaten down and hung over by the end of it. If you guys see the video, like, Ty Schmidt, I thought was going to die in the chair, all right? I thought Ty Schmidt was going to die. If you look at Pat, if you rewatch the show, you look at Pat, man, Pat's head sometimes, like you can see, it's like those guys went hard there. But speaking of ESPN Radio, Dan Patrick walked up onto the set, which is just an epic, historic radio moment that somehow my bald ass was sitting in the middle of, and I'm seeing it now pop up on these sports sites. The funny thing is I thought about it at the time after. I was like, man, sports media sites and all this are going to go crazy about this when they actually realize what just happened here. And they're not going to have a damn choice. I'm in the middle of the picture. So unless they Photoshop me out, I'm going to be in every damn shot of this, and I am. Right? So I'm seeing people are sending me all kinds of links to different websites and stuff. They're like, oh, my God. There you are. And, with Dan Patrick's, his brief appearance. But, man, that was super cool. All right, like one of the highlights of the week for us was that. But we got a lot of stuff to hit, including the NFL draft. Who won or lost the Super Bowl? Mo Khan joins us.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the RAC. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit, going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win. Fan base won't care if you're quarterbacking the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the book.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. Shout out to everybody joining us on our AM radio affiliates. The mightier 1090 ESPN Radio announced the 50,000 watt juggernaut Sirius XM channel 159 SportsGrid Radio and television networks. My voice, you know what? I saw a lot of people that were in Vegas over the week on TV today on different networks and stuff, and pretty much everybody's voices. My voice is actually not as shot as some others, to be honest. But for me, it's like the travel, right? You know, we went to Vegas. We're in New Jersey. Airplanes are not good, man. Like, you know, it's like very, very dry and stuff like that. And we've done a million shows, a million hits, and a lot of the stuff we're yelling all the time. We were in the MGM Grand. We were in the MGM Grand lobby of the sports book all week. We had drunk people yelling at us. It was loud as hell in there. So we're getting here. We're into the last hour, actually. So for me, this is sort of my Super Bowl week wraps up after tonight. Tomorrow's a travel day, and then we'll be back to normal on Wednesday. But there's a lot of stuff we got to still unpack here. For those of you joining us on the AM side of things, just my quick take, and we'll bring Mo Khan in here. It really is amazing that the San Francisco 49ers found a way to blow a double-digit lead again, that Shanahan refuses to learn his lesson over and over and over again. It's almost like Shanahan. You know what Shanahan should do, actually? Shanahan should coach the first halves of these Super Bowls and let his father coach the second half. Because, you know his father won Super Bowls by giving the ball to Terrell Davis. And I get it. Kansas City adjusted things at the half and stuff. But, dude, they ran 9 offensive plays in the third quarter. 8 of them were pass plays. And we're watching the game live. We're doing the show live. And, they're running the ball, and we see this. Remember, Baltimore did this. Buffalo did this. Teams do this where people wonder why. How come they don't keep running the ball? How come they don't do this? It sounds insane, but because they have their plays scripted, and they live in this fantasy land of, no, well, you know what? I know that we've, 12 of the plays will work, but now we set it up for this pass play. And they go through these scripts, and whether there's no reason that, you know what I mean? Winning teams, like we talked about it with the Chiefs, they'll just run the same damn play over and over if you don't stop it. Other cute coaches will run a good play, it'll work, but then they'll go to something else because they want to show off their expansive playbook. I asked Kyle Turley this once. I said, does it bother you when you were an offensive lineman when you're in the NFL and you're on the 1 yard line and everyone knows you can QB sneak it in or just pound it in, and you get some stupid play call that comes in, and you have to run it? And I said, why do teams do this? And he was in the NFL for 12 years as an offensive lineman. And he told me, you know why it happens? He goes, because the offensive coordinators get paid a lot of money, and they have these stupid playbooks, and people will realize that they're not geniuses if they just hand it to a fullback who falls forward for a yard. So they want to do these fade patterns and these little cute plays, and they don't work. Let's bring in Mo Khan right now, who I'm sure was frustrated by a play call or two in his life as a football player. What's up, Mo? How you doing?
I'm well, Gabe. First off, I want to send my congrats to you, to see you with Dan Patrick. You know, we had 3 icons in one space right there. And I was proud because you grinding your way up to the ladder here, Gabe. And for that picture, that's an iconic picture that will be forever. And I was super happy that you got to experience that moment with DP and McAfee and the whole McAfee crew on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I appreciate that. In fact, you know, we have this awful announcing. Like I said, like, it just that's pretty classic. Right there, you can't top that. And you know what? Like I said too, Mo, they can't avoid it either. This is pretty much the shot that's everywhere, right? Like that's sort of like that's when Dan Patrick retweeted even that he was on. This is the shot that he retweeted as well, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, you know what I mean? So that picture is everywhere. But it really is. I appreciate the kind words, Mo. We love having you on. But it is amazing going back to even the Team 990 days when Dan Patrick was on with Dibble. And now I met them both because I got drunk with Dibble before. So I got drunk with Dibble before. And there's a video on YouTube of our boy Mick Ossie throwing up on me and Rob Dibble. Right? So that's another story. So, and Dan Patrick, I've always had so much respect for as a radio host. And for him to walk on the set like that as I was sitting there, it was like, whoa. It was quite the experience, actually. Like, between that, I was on the set when the bump box crew rolled up. So I got a gift. I got a free bump box. I was rocking there, but yeah, to see the picture, it's almost surreal. It's like, wow, like, did I Photoshop myself into this? But it happened.
Well, he explained on the show today what happened. Like, he just finished doing his one-on-one with Cam Newton, and his second chair, Paul Pabst, said, hey, just crash the party, because it was right next door to where Cam was for his thing. And he crashed it, and that's where history became what it is now with you, him, and Pat McAfee.
You know what, too? Dan Patrick's score was pretty quick, pretty close. He said 25-23.
Yeah.
And people don't remember this. Like he said, and I said, oh, they don't have scores like that. And everyone sort of laughed like I was taking a shot at the score. And I said, no, because I remember I was like, I like that. I was like, no, I'm just telling you, Dan, that. Because he goes, what do you say? My score sucks? Because I said, they don't have that score. Right. Because I had all the odds. And I said, no. I said, it's a weird number. I said, just your score's random. I said, they have 24-21. They don't have 25-23, okay? So, but it was pretty freaking close at 25-22, man. I got to tell you that. But no, it was super cool, like as a radio guy and a TV guy and stuff, is that super special moment to live. And hopefully we do it again next year, man, in New Orleans, a tradition like no other. 3 years in a row with McAfee on Media Row. We keep it rolling next year in Nolans. But as far as the game yesterday is concerned, I talked about the play calling and the running. The thing that really bothered me the most, actually, was at the end of the first half that he didn't use his 2 timeouts and that he could have gotten the ball back with like maybe 45, 50 seconds left. We just saw Jake Moody kick a 55-yard field goal moments earlier than that. And I also didn't like the ball first stuff in overtime solely because you're giving Mahomes 4 downs now, right? Like if you're the team that gets the ball second, Mo, you know what you need to do, and it gives you that extra down to work with. And also, I don't want Mahomes to have the ball last in any situation. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whoever has the ball last wins type of game. I don't want to give the ball to Mahomes. It's like giving the ball to Michael Jordan and saying, you take the shot last. No, I don't want that.
Look, I'll say this, Gabe. I thought from the get-go, the Niners kind of deviated from what they do well, which is to run the football, right? Christian McCaffrey, I looked at the stat this morning. When he would run for 85-plus yards, the Niners were 11-1 during the regular season and playoffs included. When he ran for 80 yards or less, they were 1-4. Well, guess what happened yesterday, right? He didn't have that dominant performance that we all envisioned him having with what the odds were, right, for him to be MVP. And you think about that overtime drive, right? When it was 3rd and 12 and they got that illegal contact call. After that is when they started to hand off the ball to McCaffrey. For whatever reason, they pulled the Baltimore Ravens where they went pass, and which in hindsight, they had Brock Purdy throw for 38 times, which is the most he's ever thrown in an NFL football game. And I just think at that point, with where it played out, Steve Spagnuolo had a mastermind defense on display where he limited the big plays from the San Francisco 49ers. And at that point, I think Shanahan just ran out of ideas to kind of befuddle this Chiefs team. And I think at that point, that Niner defense was gassed out on that final drive for the game-winning touchdown. And you saw in that overtime session, as well as the Chiefs were in that window in overtime, the Niners had no answers to trying to contain or stop Mahomes when it mattered most.
No, and Shanahan is going to be in a line of fire right now. You can't dispute it. Yet he's not the only one, right? Harbaugh's a good coach, bro. Harbaugh fell apart, deviated from the plan. I didn't like the Monken hire, as I stated, dude. I could party all week in Vegas, Mo, and show up drunk and be the OC of a Georgia Bulldog game on a Saturday morning. All right, bro? Good for Monken. Oh, he's the OC of the Georgia Bulldogs. Good for you. Sean McDermott's a good coach. Does dumb things against them. It's amazing. Like, they're that good.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the RAC. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit, going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. The Monday Night Meltdown continues as we wrap up Super Bowl 58. We got our boy Mo Conti, a set statistician, former wide receiver, play-by-play man, and more in the house with us. We're throwing it down in our New Jersey studios tonight. We're going to be back out west on Wednesday night. No show tomorrow. Program alert. We apologize, but I can't be everywhere at once. But once Wednesday, we're going to be back in black, and everything will be back to normal once again. But an epic time. Great job by everybody at the SportsGrid crew. Thanks to all of our guests that joined us all week long. Thanks to everybody at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, and at the Mandalay Bay and the MGM Group, the National Football League, and the City of Las Vegas. You all did a great job. Awesome time. Vegas really did do a great job. And I tell you, Mo, I don't know. I know it looked really cool on TV because I was watching it on TV a lot, too. When I was back in my hotel room, I was watching the coverage all night. But it was amazing. Like Vegas, how seemingly smooth they pulled this stuff off. Like, bet you, man, you had like the media center in Mandalay Bay. There's literally like thousands of like NFL fans waiting for autographs with like footballs, and it's like chaos. And there's a boxing match going on in the building, Mo. There's like 14,000 drunk boxing fans. And then, not to mention, you've got just sort of like Vegas tourists and stuff that didn't even know the Super Bowl was there. You know what I mean? Like, just, there's a football game? What, random? Like, and it was all sort of like in this one spot. And a lot of cities, man, like you go to a Super Bowl and you know the Super Bowl's there like right away. It's like, oh my God. There's more security in a Super Bowl city than there is in like some prisons. Vegas, it was so unobtrusive. I know that they tightened things up on Saturday and Sunday, and behind the scenes it was over the top. But I'm just telling you guys in Vegas, for your, LVPD, Las Vegas Police Department, you did an awesome job. The police chief, the FBI, Homeland Security, you all did a great job by keeping the city safe and people didn't even know you were there. Like, amazing. Like I said, it's an amazing job by Vegas. You guys are really like good at that. I can't wait to go back to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. But Mo, as I stated, those timeouts before the half, that was weird. I'm going to give credit to Kansas City though. You know what I mean? Like people always want to criticize the team that loses and blame them and stuff. But you got to give credit to the team that wins. But what did you make of Kelsey shoving Reed and A.J. Brown tweeting out immediately after saying, if I did that, I'd be kicked out of the NFL? And Tyreek Hill,
yeah,
I thought it was interesting, responded and said, yeah, I wonder why, bro. Right? So what did you think about that? What did you think about Kelsey and Reed? Because I saw Barack Obama tweet after the game, congratulations to the Chiefs, showing grace under pressure. And I'm thinking, grace under pressure? Guy nearly knocked his 300-pound coach over. He hit him so hard, Mo.
Yeah, look, it's one of those emotional rush of blood to the head for Travis Kelce. It's unfortunate because had they lost, that would have been the forefront storyline, right? Like Kelce was pounding the sideline, wanted to be out there, and he came up short when it mattered most. But I just think that kind of galvanized them a little bit. That kind of turned around for them because after that moment, they got into lockdown mode, right? They went at it. Second half, they were just clicking, keeping it simple. And look, Travis Kelce, Gabe, you think about it, right? That first half, he was irrelevant. Second half, he became the alpha. He became a catchaholic for them, and that's what it was. And the Niners had no answer for him. And for whatever reason, Steve Wilkes kept on dropping 7 guys into coverage. And he gave Mahomes the underneath stuff, and he said it before at the top of the hour. It was dink and dunk, dink and dunk. This wasn't the vintage Mahomes going deep, deep, deep. He took what was given to him by the Niners defense, and at that point, the yards after the catch, became much more prevalent. And if you watch that final drive, you think about the mistakes that happened in that final drive, right? Valdez-Scantling losing 6 yards to go from what would have been 2nd and 8 to 2nd and 14, right? They gained that back within 3 plays. And I just thought that the Chiefs, again, from the offensive play calling, from the defensive play calling, they coached up their players so well in this football run that they had the last 4 or 5 weeks that after that Raider loss, you heard Andy Reid say that opened our eyes to say, look, we can't come in here believing we're going to whip teams left, right, and center. The Raiders whooped them, and they smoked cigars in the Raiders locker room as a full circle moment for them from where they were 7 weeks ago to where they are now.
there were a couple of turning points, right? The fumble on the punt, obviously, that was just bad luck. That it hit someone's ankle, hit Brown's ankle. But with that being stated, a big turning point, Mo, was when Mahomes rushed for the first down and he ran through people to do it. Right? He just put his shoulders down and he wouldn't be brought down and he got smoked and he ran through. And I said it at the time live. I said, whoa. And I even said, look at the Chiefs bench. And the Chiefs bench, that was, and we talked about with Pharrell live on the air, and I brought up the helicopter moment with Elway. Josh Allen, it was, Thanksgiving Day game or whatever, when he jumped over the Cowboy, right? And he did it against the Vikings. Yeah. There's certain plays, right, that just electrify teams, right? Sometimes a big dunk in college basketball. There's certain plays, that was it, right? Because nothing was going KC's way, really, right? They're down 10-3, 10-6 or whatever it is, and they can't really get it going. They're on the verge of fighting with each other for real. Kelsey's getting mad. Rice and Kelsey. Rice is frustrated all day, too. That's not, being talked about a lot. He was flipping out on the sidelines. They weren't in a happy place. And then they just kept it simple. Like you and I talked about it after to be Baltimore. Nothing more simple than your quarterback putting his shoulder. That was a Josh Allen type of Mahomes run. And it electrified the bench, bro. And like you said, Kelsey getting that mad almost like makes everyone else realize, well, this is serious. He's losing it, right? Like you said, It was sort of, it woke them up. And then that Mahomes rush, bro, that was like, they were like, okay, it's go time. Let's start scoring points now.
Yeah, they said, bleep it, let's go out there and do what we do. And look, this is not the most dynamic Chiefs offense that we've seen, Gabe, in years past that we've seen
not complicated at all.
No, it was simple stuff. And I think what hurt the Niners that no one's talking about, losing Dre Greenlaw, right, to that awful injury. He is the speed linebacker that could play sideline to sideline, and he would have plugged those gaps with Mahomes doing what he did. And for the Niners to lose Greenlaw, it put more stress on Fred Warner. And you think about that run that Mahomes had in the final drive where he blew right by Fred Warner. I thought that Warner lost a bit of edge because he was so gassed up, playing a sideline to sideline, north-south, doing what he could to keep the Niners apprised in that football game. So I think the Greenlaw injury hurt that Niner defense and changed the dynamics because the Chiefs said, you know what, we're going to go dink and dunk, and you're not going to beat us and us doing this 5 to 7-yard catch and going from there. So I just thought the Niners had no answer for that. And I think at the end of the day, for the Niners on their offense, there's one thing that caught my attention was Trent Williams and that O-line. They didn't play well. They weren't dominant on the line of scrimmage. They didn't have those big plays. And I just thought Chris Jones, we talked off here, Chris Jones, think about what he did on that incomplete pass in overtime that was supposed to go for the touchdown that ended up being incomplete. He blew up that play, Gabe. He dominated this game. He was the legit chief destroyer of the Niners front five in that football game. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, the Niners got to look themselves in the mirror and say, our best players did not show up in the most crucial moments of this football game.
So let me ask you, Mo, for your way too early Super Bowl predictions for next year, Super Bowl 59 predictions. And, one thing, championship teams always need something to motivate them. Kansas City, and sometimes you have to manufacture stuff. You'll see that with really good teams. Nobody believes in us. It's like nobody believes in you. You're an 18-point favorite. Alabama, Saban used to do that. Nobody believes in us. It's like, dude, you're a 14-point favorite, coach, in the game. Like, people believe in you, right? They kind of create fake motivation, or Michael Jordan, I took it personal, like any slight that they can find. Yet, we seem to make it easy for Kansas City. They do get slighted all the time. People don't believe in them. And I don't know if you saw, so at the press conference last night or this morning, they're all carrying over into one and stuff. And Mahomes basically said, we're motivated. We knew we were underdogs and we couldn't believe it, like type of thing. And, we were underdogs there and here, and they knew, and he said it motivates us. Yeah, it motivates us. And then someone had to tell him, by the way, you guys aren't favored to win the Super Bowl next year. San Francisco are. And you should have seen his face. He was like, really, huh? And right away, dude, you just planted the seed in his mind. Plus, they can become the first team to win 3 in a row. Right? So now they're locked in for next year. It'll be interesting to see if Jones stays and he wants part of the ride, but San Francisco are plus 500. Chiefs are 7-1. Ravens 9-1. Lions 12-1. Bills 12-1. Cowboys 15. Bengals 15, Eagles 17. Way too early predictions. We won't hold it against you, Mo. Who's playing in the Super Bowl next year?
Open the Niners. You know, the history is losing teams don't make it far, if ever. And the Niners schedule next year has them playing the AFC East. You got the Cowboys coming to town. They don't have an easy schedule, Gabe. Not at all. And I just wonder because, remember, you have to re-sign Brandon Ayuk. You got to figure out your cap space because they're $3 million over the cap as we speak right now. They'll readjust and backload deals towards 25, 26, whatever it is, even 27. Their window, Niners, is going to be 2024. And then after that, Brock Purdy is going to do a big deal. And as I said before, Ayuk's going to get a big deal at some point. So I don't think the Niners go as far. And again, they're not going to have Drake Greenlaw for pretty much the duration of the bulk of the season for 2024. So already they're down a man before even snapping a football in training camp. So I think the Niners are going to be a team that has to really get creative with the drafting and trading for players. Because remember, Gabe, they gave up a boatload for CMC. So how do they recoup those draft picks that are cheaper commodities that can help them win a football game or two this season coming up?
All right, we're coming up against the break. So, but don't think I'm going to forget, Mo. You're going to have to give us your pick on the other side.
Always.
Who's playing in the Super Bowl next year? Say the Chargers. Ride the Charger wave with Harbaugh.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the RAC. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit, going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bus club, and everybody else in between. We're kicking it in our Beltwork studios right now. And our boy Mo Khan asks, is it closer to New York City or Newark? Somebody tell me in my earpiece, technically. It's probably like right in the middle, isn't it? Like it is, it's probably like, so Newark is technically a little bit closer. Newark is 20 minutes. All right, Mo. So we're 20 minutes from the Prudential Center. The thing is, what's 20 minutes in New York? All right, 20 minutes closer. So Newark is 20 minutes closer than New York City, but you can go like 3 miles and it can take like an hour or something like that. So it's all sort of relative, but yeah. So in Jersey, Newark, Secaucus is where like a lot of the studios are. More like the NHL, the NBA Replay Center, and all that. It's funny too when you see it, bro. You're like, really? That's where like they do this? Huh? It looks like a strip club, like warehouse on the side of the road, like in The Sopranos. You're like, really? That's their headquarters? That's the studio, right? It's not as glamorous as people think sometimes, but nevertheless. So we can go on and on about the Super Bowl. Everyone's done it. We've done it here. But taking a quick look next year. Yeah. Do you think Kansas City win the Super Bowl again? And give us two teams. Like, who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I got Kansas City going far, Gabe. If they stay injury-free, and you think about their drafting, Gabe, how well they've done, right? The Nick Boltons of the world that have come on board as second-round picks and third-round picks, whatever it is. Karlaftis looks like he could explode next year. They have a team in place. And remember, Mahomes' deal, right, really only kicks in 2025 and beyond. So they'll have that 1 year to kind of bring in those guys who want to get that ring and get to the ship here. So I think the Chiefs are going to be definitely favorites. I think there'll be less issues or less questions about the Chiefs than, say, Baltimore going to the offseason. I think on the NFC right now, look, I won't put the Eagles, but I'm just curious to see what they will do in free agency and what they will do in the draft. Because you look at Detroit, you look at Philadelphia, they almost have similar issues, right? Secondary wasn't that great. Defense didn't play well. They kind of unraveled late in the season here. So I'm curious to see what Detroit and Philly will do. If they both improve their defenses to help complement their offenses, I think they definitely can make deep runs in 2024.
Yeah, look at the NFC. San Francisco are 2-1, plus 200 to win the NFC next year. Detroit are plus 550, so they are getting respect to the second choice, and rightfully so. They're a good football team. Yet it's not easy to do every year. Like, just because you're a good 1 year doesn't carry you over, and you get a tougher schedule when you win games, and you know the drill. Cowboys are plus 750. It's hard to believe in them ever. The Eagles, I kind of think, are kind of fading. Packers are interesting to me, Mo. I think the Packers are going in the right direction, bro. Yeah, they're going in the right direction. And the Rams at 14-1 to win the NFC. McVay is a good coach. They draft well. They're just a solid organization. And it'll be, it'll be interesting to see. They'll be in the mix, I think, the Rams at 14-1. But let's get into the draft. Let's start off with the first pick overall. I don't know. Nobody knows what they're going to do, right? But there's a lot of different contradictory type of things here. So there was reports today. Schefter was reporting that the Steelers like Justin Fields. And there's also reports that there are 3 to 4 to 5 teams that are interested in Justin Fields. The Washington Commanders have hired Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator. He was there and worked with Caleb Williams at USC. Caleb Williams is from the District of Columbia. The Chicago Bears, there was also sort of talk that the Bears are asking for so much for Caleb Williams. And they're also sort of, we're listening, if you want to talk about Justin Fields, that they're leaning towards taking Caleb Williams right now. Do you believe this?
Yeah, I think so. I think today they are. But let's go through the pro days. Let's go through the combine in 2 weeks in Indianapolis, right? They'll get a better feel for Caleb Williams in the coming months or so. And Gabe, look at the history of top-tier picks that have been traded. It's usually mid-March to late March when this goes down, right? Last year, the Bears made their trade with Carolina. I think it was March 14th. If you remember the Rams who moved up, the Eagles, a big part of the Eagles who moved up in 2016 for Carson Wentz made their trade in the middle of March as well. When the Washington football team moved up to get RG3, they made their trade late March. So I think that window, just after free agency, is when we'll start seeing movement towards offers and stuff. But I think right now, if you were to pen it, yeah, I think the Bears do take Caleb Williams and offload Justin Fields for a second-round pick. And again, the Bears do have picks to work with, Gabe. And they can build around Fields or a big part in Caleb Williams, whether it's bringing in O-line help, another pass catcher to work with him, along with DJ Moore. So I think the Bears are in strong position. But again, if the Josh Harris, we don't know what his MO is yet, Gabe. If he's one of those type of guys that acts like Dan Snyder, trade the whole lot of picks to get Caleb Williams, if I'm the Bears, I move down one pick, maybe take Drake May and get other picks to work with that can help fortify other positions in need on that roster.
One thing about Caleb Williams, and you mentioned a combine, I guarantee you right now he's going to do nothing.
No, he won't do anything.
He won't even, zero. I imagine they're just going to say, yeah, he's not doing the combine. But
no, he'll show up and shake hands.
It'll be the interview process, right?
Yeah.
He has to do that. You can't just say, I'm not talking to you. But you can say, dude, check my tape, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm not. But just for the viewers tuning in and listeners. So if you're that, and we're seeing this right now, guys don't even play in the freaking Senior Bowls anymore. Like, they want money and this and that. And like the combine, they have more to lose in the game. A lot of coaches don't really care about their combine numbers and stuff anyways. A good example is, Mo, the Rams don't even go to the combine.
No, McVay doesn't go. They send like 3 people to the combine now.
No, they don't send anybody. They don't go.
They send a couple of area scouts that work in the region.
McVay
doesn't go.
But the Rams, they don't care. They don't send any of their coaching staff. The GM doesn't go. I'm not saying they don't have any remote whatever workers and scouts in their thing, but they don't go. Like, I know people that run this stuff, and they tell me the Rams don't even show up. You know what I mean? Like, Belichick sits there with his binoculars and stuff, and he watches people run. McVay's on the beach with his hot wife. They don't care. And look, they knock it out of the park because they know, right? Like, if you're a coach, guys, you're a GM, and you're going to get hustled because some kid ran fast in Indy on the track, then God bless you. You're not going to last long in the NFL. Combine players suck, Mo. You see it all the time.
Of course.
Oh, this kid broke the record in this shuttle, broke the record in that. You never hear about him again after. It's just they're combine studs. They're not football players. So my whole point is teams already kind of know what they like, but the interview process is huge. And Williams will be interesting because some people are worried about his father and representing him and what kind of attitude they're going to have with people about everything. So to be curious to see how it plays out. Drake May is interesting, Mo, because what I got from being in Vegas this week around NFL people too was, I don't know, a lot of people think Drake May's Will Levis is going to plummet in the draft and he's way overrated and they don't understand where all this magic stuff is coming from. And then you got I saw it Hasselbeck the other day saying that he thinks he's better than Caleb Williams and that he would take him number 1 first overall. So people are split on him. What's your take on Drake May?
It's smokescreen season now, Gabe. Remember last year talking about C.J. Stroud and his processing ability, right? Because teams wanted him to drop down to 7, 8, 9, 10. That never transpired. We saw what he did last season. I think Drake May is going to be a solid quarterback. You put him in the right system, and if it's Cliff Kingsbury as his OC, I think that's going to help hone his quarterback skills. You saw what he did, Gabe. Remember his freshman year to his junior year? Same thing as Caleb Williams, right? He had an explosive freshman year, kind of regressed in his sophomore. In this past season, he was okay, not that great. North Carolina lost the games that they should have won. I think Drake May is a solid quarterback. I think he has the tangibles you look for that can make the reads and process the read quick enough to get the ball to his playmakers. And I think for Caleb Williams, I think it's going to be a lot closer in terms of how the eval will be for certain teams that might have Drake May ranked over Caleb Williams, because you mentioned before, the maturity of Caleb Williams, because coming into this USC season as a reigning Heisman winner at the time, his father being more influential, him allegedly saying, I want ownership of a team if I go to that team. What's his mindset going to be like? Is he all in? Is he a guy that's going to buy into wherever he goes? And Chicago, Gabe, you know very well, Chicago is the hell for all offensive playmakers, whether you're a quarterback, receiver, or even a tight end. They don't do well. So is he ready to go play in cold weather and be the man in Chicago that's been looking for a savior since Jim McMahon, and that's like 40 years ago?
No, I do agree with it's a tough market to play in, especially if you're a quarterback. And like you said, they've never really. Trubisky won 12 games there and got ran out of town, right? He went 12-4 and they weren't happy with him. But the cold weather thing is whatever. He's from Washington, D.C. He played at USC, but you know what I mean? It's not like he's not from California or anything like that.
Chicago cold's not the same thing, though, Gabe. It's not the same thing.
How cold? That doesn't get that cold, Mo. Like, that's all that
winds,
crap
though,
is like.
But
Okay, how about, So what about Josh Allen? Josh Allen's a bad cold weather quarterback, bro.
But Wyoming is, you know what? Wyoming, where he played cold weather football.
Wyoming is cold as hell.
It is.
Didn't help him. He's not a good cold weather quarterback in Buffalo.
But
he's a bad. No, I'm just telling you, all like because of where someone's from and all that. I don't buy into. I don't care. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers is a great cold weather quarterback. He's from California. Brett Favre was a great.
It's different though.
What do you mean different? What, it's colder than Green Bay?
But I'm telling you, Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, these guys had decent careers in Chicago, but quarterbacks, for whatever reason, can never adapt because the winds are tough game. If you ask any quarterback, pro, amateur, whatever it is, they'll tell you they don't care for rains. If it's windy, that is the worst element to go through because you cannot control how your ball's going to come out of your hand when you're making those tight throws in that stifling wind in Chicago. And that's why quarterbacks don't do as well in that city that they all think they would be the savior. Jay Cutler, right? We thought he would be the savior in Chicago 14 years ago, and that never transpired. And again, the last great quarterback was who? Jim McMahon. That's 40 years ago when they won in '86.
No, it's a good point. As far as in the modern NFL, and honestly, it's the same thing with Buffalo, except they don't want to do it because of the image and the we're tough and we play outside. Okay, you also cancel playoff games every year, right? Or you're moving games around all the time. You're also snowed in all the time. And it's the same battle in Chicago right now, right? There's one, they want to just build a new stadium and, downtown and have a new outdoor stadium. And then there's let's build a dome and put it in Arlington, basically at the racetrack area and the empty lots and stuff. And which is the better idea, Mo? You can make a case for both, right?
You can make a case for both, right? If you're Chicago, if you're looking from a business angle, you get the Final Four.
If you want the Super Bowl and you want WrestleMania and stuff, you build you build the dome. If you want to live with this tradition. But the thing is, modern people don't want that stuff, Mo. People complain about it. It's sort of like the Montreal Forum and the Boston Garden and stuff. People hate the new arenas, yet they complain about the old ones. And it's the same type of thing. People want to pretend they're tough, but they don't like freezing their ass off. Right? But you know what I mean? But I would say it doesn't get as cold anymore, Mo. You're right about the winds. I get your point about, you can't dispute it. Dude, they didn't like Jim McMahon. He won a Super Bowl. Think about, the history. Mo is right. If you think of the quarterbacks of the Bears, I have a vision of Mike Ditka, grabbing Harbaugh's face mask and pulling him.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the RAC. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. You can talk about even equate it to the NBA. OKC just rolling into Detroit going, this is going to be an easy victory and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. but the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring
The
back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I look forward to wrapping up the NFL season with the National Football League draft. That's actually the end of the season, not the Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl, no, now it's already like there's odds up, and they're coming up more and more right now. I want to get to J.J. McCarthy. We'll do it with our boy Rick Saratella later in the week. But J.J. McCarthy, the Vikings are the favorite at plus 550, along with the Broncos and the Raiders. They're all like the Raiders are plus 550 for J.J. McCarthy. The Broncos are plus 550, and like they're all in the same price range. The Vikings. To me, Mo, I think J.J. McCarthy would be a good Raider. I think his personality would fit in. Raider Nation would love him and stuff. I don't think the Raiders will do it just because the Raiders, they're not very smart, right? They screw everything up that they do. So, like, it's too much of a winning pick for them. Like, well, let's get this winner guy. And also, I like the Raiders. I'm not saying they're stupid or anything, and they have a new regime in here, but I just don't see JJ as being their guy. I can see Jaden Daniels being their guy. You know what I mean? They want to swing for the fences and really go flash. Hell, maybe they trade up for Drake May. I can see the Raiders maybe making a splash in the draft, but J.J. McCarthy, man, I think he falls right into that Viking Bronco pocket right there. The Raiders are in that pocket. But it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of Ram talk about J.J. McCarthy right now as well as they look to the future.
Yeah, but you're bang on, Gabe. I think quarterbacks are going to go even higher. I think there's going to be desperate teams that are going to move into the top 10, top 8 to get their guy because they can't wait from 13, 14, 15 for McCarthy to drop down or whoever might drop down Penny Street. Who knows who it is. So I think someone's going to move up, Gabe, and you're going to see someone give 3, maybe 5 picks in total of a combination of first and second round picks to get their guy moving forward.
Carolina set the stage last year, right? Everybody saw that for Bryce Young. And it's crazy because Bryce Young's still unproven. Like, the jury's still out on him, so I don't want to rip him. But everyone's going to say, look, man, he's not even that good, and look what they got. So they're going to use his bad season like as bartering leverage, saying, listen, our guy's going to be better than what he was, and that's what they got for him. Great stuff, Mo. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Great job by the SportsRage crew. Other than that, you're on your own later.